go and do it. Just a quick review, the factors that can lead to heart disease. Of course, we know that being overweight is a big problem because it causes a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on all systems in our body. And so, you know, when Terry's talking about measuring cholesterol, that's one of the things that we measure to determine our overall health. And body mass index is another thing that we can use to measure our overall health. So we want to know where we fit. Have you ever, are you familiar with your BMI, your body mass index? Do you know what that is? Everybody know that? And if you do not, what I'm sending you in the email after class, along with a lot of different attachments, is going to let Cassandra in here, is a body mass indicator, a body mass index calculator. And it's super easy. All you have to do is put in there your height and your weight, and it will tell you what your body mass index is. And the normal body mass index is somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 25. So that's the goal that we're heading for. Normal is between 18.5 and 24.9. So know that that's a number to keep track of. So that's one metric. Another metric is our blood pressure, of course. And so we know that 120/80 is kind of that norm that we're striving for. And that can vary during the day. You don't need to get too stressed when blood pressure fluctuates throughout the day. You may or may not know that. Sometimes it can be upsetting to sit down and take your blood pressure and see that it's a little bit high. But if you're taking your blood pressure at the same time every day and a few hours after you've taken a medication, if you do take medication for it, look for your readings at that typical time every day for what would be your norm. And don't worry too much about those fluctuations in between. But one of the things that, of course, can increase blood pressure is too much sodium in the diet. So we'll talk about how much is too much in a little bit. Likewise, diets high in sugar. We have heard about the problems with sugar. Mostly it gets associated with diabetes. But diabetes, as well as heart disease, are diseases of inflammation, underlying inflammation in our bodies, inflammation of our blood vessels and other parts of our body. And so that causes disease. And our arteries begin to get clogged. You can see that diets high in sugar can lead to what is called high triglycerides. Have you ever had your triglycerides measured when you had your cholesterol measured? So triglycerides, ironically, are a type of fat that can be increased substantially by eating a diet high in sugar. It seems kind of confusing that would happen, but high triglycerides along with high cholesterol is a formula for heart disease. And diets high in saturated fat can also contribute to high cholesterol, but saturated fat is not something that we absolutely need to eliminate. What we do need to do is work on a diet of a combination of things to reduce inflammation. And you can talk to your doctor about inflammation. There are measures of inflammation in the body that you can get and keep track of. And just showing a couple of things here that are really heavy hitters when it comes to a poor diet. Notice how the foods in this heart, what do you notice about those? When
good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
All sugar. All sugar stuff.
It's pretty much all sugar, and you're right. Even though we have salty things here, these are things that all break down rather rapidly into simple sugars, carbohydrates. It's simple carbohydrates that are known to spike our blood sugar. Plus, there's a lot of something else here. What else? What would you find in donuts?
Fat.
Yeah, fat, and especially fried fat, deep fried food. So deep fried sugar is probably one of the worst combinations you can get. So donuts are deep fried. deep fried potato chips, deep fried vegetables, or any vegetables. I think it's amazing what we do now. You know, we take a perfectly healthy vegetable like a mushroom or a zucchini, and we coat it and we throw it in the deep fryer. I went to a funeral reception the other day at an Italian restaurant, and they had all these deep fried vegetables. It was like, oh my goodness. So this to me represents, you know, where's the color here except in the pink icing on this donut? There's no color.
it.
This is dead food, dead food. And what's going on here? Why did I pick this?
A lot of sugar.
Tons of sugar.
A lot of sugar.
Lots of sugar. And there's also something else in here called caramel coloring that is a nasty ingredient that can be a carcinogen. So that's a horse of a different color. Those are some things. I'm just looking at the chat here, Susie. With thyroid issues, it's hard to lose weight. So your BMI is a little higher, but your heart rate's good. And that's really important, because sometimes you just can't always, despite your best efforts, get everything in sync. So you do the very best that you can. And the diet is a great way to help you get there. So a heart healthy diet, you know, you start with taking a look at portion sizes, and I'm going to send you some information about portion sizes so that you can see what a typical portion is. Usually a portion of raw vegetables, for instance, would be considered a cup. Portion of cooked vegetables might be a half cup, because, you know, they shrink when they're cooked. But you know, you almost have to look at a more detailed list, but in general, we should be getting 2.5 to 3.5 cups of vegetables per day, and about 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit per day. I happen to think this vegetable thing could be a lot higher. I think that for us to have a healthy diet, we should be upping this. And some of you have heard me say this maybe too often, that I really am a proponent of Dr. Terry Wall's protocol, who was a doctor who contracted MS. And without going into all the details, she was heading to a life in a wheelchair. She was already in a wheelchair, and she cured herself with food on a paleo diet. But the essence of it was also that she included 9 cups of fruits and vegetables per day. Not easy to do, but a very healthy way to nourish a diseased body. Increasing fiber helps keep things clean, helps move things through our body, thereby just improving the health of our system overall. And many of us don't get enough fiber. So 22 to 25 grams, something good to write down. These are some numbers